Welcome fish freaks, fish behind glass, yyzgeye here, your host for the moment. This video is for JJ Baes 100 subscription t-shirt and prime giveaway. So the question that he asked was what was it that got you into the fish keeping hobby? And I think my story is pretty much similar to a lot of people's. It started off with 2 goldfish. My daughter was given 2 goldfish, and they were in a fish bowl that was more probably suited to be a cookie jar. And they brought the fish over. I didn't know anything about fish at the time. They put them in this bowl, no temperature checking. As the fish were in there, literally over the time of this party, which was about 4 hours, I just watched that water get worse and worse and worse, and they were dead by the next morning. People were just putting in water to try to clear it. They were taking out water and putting it in, and it was a bad scene kind of for the fish. It ended up being that I told my daughter that I would get her a tank, and I ended up getting this tank here. I wanted to start off small because I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And so we got this one, and it's been running, well, we've had it for about, we've had this one since she was 5, so we've had this like 7 years. So I bought her this tank, and it ended up being that I still wasn't very good with fish. I put some guppies in there, I think some white cloud minnows, and it ended up being that it didn't last very long. I didn't know what was going on. The tank eventually did cycle itself, so I did end up with fish that lived in there for about a year, and I took care of it for a year. And when that last fish died, I went ahead and kind of took down this tank and put it away. So a couple of years later, my daughter asked, can she get the tank going again? So I set this up again, and after a while she says, can I get another tank? So for Christmas, we got her this 10-gallon tank. And so this tank here has been going for about 4 years. The black skirt tetras and the black neons are all original to the tank. They were the fish that I cycled this tank with, and they've been doing pretty good over the last few years. We've added a few fish here and there. These are blue steel guppy females. We've got a couple platies in here. I'm hoping to get some baby guppy fry maybe. But the problem was I was taking care of this tank, and my daughter would have people come over, or her friends come over, and you know, during the day when she was at school, I'd come here and check out the tank. Well, it ended up being that when her friends and stuff came over, I can't hang out in here with all of her friends here. So I got kind of bummed out because she started having more and more people over, and I had less and less time where I got to just sit and enjoy the tank. So we decided to decorate this room, and when we did that, I said, well, with the painting that we're going to do, I want to move the tanks out to the front room. And so I did that, and I got to enjoy that tank all the time. But then my daughter was, you know, after about a month, was like, can I get the tank back in my room? So I did it, but I was able to work out with my wife that I would get my 36-gallon. So on the 5-gallon and the 10-gallon, I learned quite a bit. The 10-gallon, I learned a lot about the nitrogen cycle and stuff like that. So when I got this tank, it turned out that I learned a lot more about how plants work in that cycle, and you know, how they break down all of the organic material in there. And I just started doing a little bit of experimenting with this one. So it evolved over time, and this is what it looks like now. But I learned a lot about how to do my decorations in the tank for this tank. So soon I wanted to make a quarantine tank, and I got this little 5-gallon tank, and it ended up being a display tank, and I've put it up and taken it down about 3 times already, but it is back up again. And as I showed in one of my videos, I've got these little guppy fry in here for right now. But this was the next tank that I actually got. It's just evolved a lot over time. So then I got the 20-gallon long, and this was one of my first tanks that I got that was basically, I started it from scratch. It wasn't from any old tanks or anything like that. I just bought everything new and just started decorating it. And I learned quite a bit more about decorating your tank in this one here and utilizing the plants, and I've really been happy how this tank has evolved. So yeah, it's been going since about last summer, so it's almost about a year old now. And then not long after I got that one, I got a lizard for my daughter, and we had bought this 20-gallon tall to house that lizard. But it turned out that it was a little bit too big for the lizard. So I ended up going and getting a 10-gallon for the lizard, and I made this into a fish tank. And it was set up to be a quarantine tank, but somehow it ended up as a display tank. Here's been running for about 5 months, and as I said in another video, it just is taken off. Again, this was going to be a quarantine tank. I ended up making it like more of like an experimental tank. This is the first time I used sponges. This is the first time I used circulation, and it's the first time I used a fluid filter. And that was pretty much an experiment as well, and so far this experiment has turned out great. I actually put no fertilizer whatsoever in this tank. It does so well just by itself. I just really don't want to mess with it. But it was the first time I used really dark substrate, and used that to highlight the look of the plants and the fish. And the latest tank that I've started has been the Gourami tank. This is one I call the Love Hut, and basically I'm going to see if I can get these two to breed. So far it's been going really well, and I want to talk a lot more about this tank, but that's going to be for the next episode of Fish Behind Glass. And I want to get you guys caught up on what's happening with these two fish. So yeah, until next time, fish pump.